bro, they brought back everybody in this damn DLC. Man, who's your favorite Pokemon? I bet you they came back and they got a Mega. Who? Sentret? Ooh. Uh, you, you should play some more Pokemon games, gang. Hey, what's good, Joe? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, we have finally received our not so very long awaited DLC for Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension. At the time of this recording, I have beaten the post game. The only reason that I didn't post for like 2 weeks is because I was not aware as to how close this DLC was until it basically dropped into my lap on the 9th. Not that it was unwelcome, but it definitely caught me off guard and threw off my scheduling a little bit. But now that it's here and the game is fully finished and I've beaten it, we can completely open up the cell gates. We've got a lot of discussions and comparisons to make in the next 2 months, so bear with me. But before we get to all of that, we have a major question to ask. Was the DLC for Legends EA any good? This is your one and only spoiler warning. I'm going to be talking about any and all aspects about the DLC, so if you haven't finished it for yourself, I recommend going to do that. I haven't said it in a while, but you already know the drill by now. Why don't you go ahead, get cozy, grab a nice, cool, iced up glass of Sprite, grab your warmed up Rattata meat and put some ranch on there while we talk about all of the good and bad aspects of the Mega Dimension DLC. Starting with the positives, the first major one is definitely the sheer amount of content available here. The only reason one could probably say that it's not that much is if you're really heavily comparing it to like the Scarlet and Violet or even the Sword and Shield DLC, where we got an entirely new area to explore. And that's a fair argument to make. We'll be having those comparison discussions in the very near future. But generally speaking, overall, we got like what, 8-9-ish hours of extra story content, 20 plus new mega evolutions, over 100 side quests, a brand new way to grind materials with a brand new system to grind out said materials. Hey, you could say that not all content is good content. That's more than fair to say, but you can't say that they didn't give us content. Doing a casual playthrough of this, I was damn near overwhelmed by how much there was to receive and do in this DLC. I thought I was a little more burnt out on this game than I actually was, because even now I am itching to get back to it a little bit, but I know for sanity's sake I should probably give it a little bit of a break. But I have finished the post game, and there's still stuff I haven't gotten to or discovered yet, so yeah, I kinda wanna hop back in there. Another positive I gotta throw in there is, of course, the music, but who's that surprising, right? I had already assumed that we were gonna be spending an absurd amount of time in Hyperspace Lumios, so I thank Shanks that the distorted version of the regular themes isn't the only thing that we're hearing in there. The fact alone that there's an actual completely new theme for the Hyperspace pockets as well as the wild Pokemon battles in there makes me incredibly happy. In fact, the only distorted theme that you hear over and over again is the Battle Zone theme, which is already good, so I don't mind that one as much. But even then, just generally throughout, you're hearing so much different music, it's so cool. Karina getting her theme back, Ansha having a little bit of Diantha's themes mixed into hers because that's her mom is a really cool little detail. And they actually brought back and slightly remixed the battle themes for all of the Hoenn legendaries in this. That was sick. So it's exactly like I always say. Usually, Pokemon rarely ever fails in the music department, and they ain't starting now. Next positive, I think that the story is a lot of fun. Everything here kind of plays out like a fun, cute little Saturday morning side quest filler episode situation. Essentially, a young woman named Ansha scouts out Team MZ to help her with her dream of finding a legendary Pokemon that she can give to her mother. Somehow, in doing so and utilizing the power of these dimensions to get to Hyperspace Lumios, the worlds were kind of on the verge of colliding. So naturally, it comes down to the young boy at Team MZ to help handle the situation, as per usual. But overall, even though it didn't have the most meat or grit to it, it was just a fun little side quest for Team MZ to embark on. And I use that word lightly because, you know, Lumios was still in very real danger, but You know, they were embracing it a lot more than whatever was happening in the main story. It was awesome to get Karina back as a character and have her actually join Team MZ and be an actual part of the story. She was around the entire time, and she was a blast to have around. Corbeau and the Rust Syndicate really took command this time around, taking absolute charge of the situation with Hyperspace Lumiose. Love that. I'm so 100% serious when I say that Corbeau might be one of my new favorite Pokemon characters ever, and I need to see more of him going forward, because he is such a cool guy. Cracking jokes about being edgy, but still finding the time to work around the clock to make sure that we get the right donut ingredients to help handle the situation. That dude is a king. Also, was not at all expecting to see Ghost AZ. And what's crazy about that, I think the most unique thing about that is that one of the side quests that you're super likely to run into very early on serves as a foreshadowing for this. Getting the letter from this woman's dead husband so that you could get her ring back from Tarragon through a battle was so incredibly sad. And it's like really interesting that I didn't think that much of it until we got to that point. Until we saw AZ again, I realized, oh my god, they told us the entire time that we could see a different reality. These people that have passed on can come back for a moment in hyperspace. It's crazy. Also goes to show how crazy scary Darkrai is as a Pokemon, right? Unbeknownst to us, this Pokemon was just sitting there, waiting, resting, and unintentionally gathering a ton of Mega Energy from everything that was happening in the main story. And it got so genuinely powerful to the point of merging reality with dreams, to the point where we could actually see and probably touch and talk to AZ. That is insanity. Honestly though, I'm just happy we're utilizing Darkrai at all, because this is a sick-ass Pokemon with sick-ass powers. Its mega design definitely leaves a little bit to be desired, but for the most part, I really like what they did here. And kind of tapping back into my previous point, there is post-game in this DLC. More stuff to work on after you hit credits. I ain't mad at it, son, but good lord. It all made sense though, because initially when you first met Ansha, you were going to be under the impression that you were going to find Rayquaza, but because of everything that was happening, it seemed like it was leading you off course. It wasn't until after you've dealt with Darkrai that you could finally go on that true, genuine hunt for Rayquaza. And by proxy, both Kyogre and Groudon as well. Great time overall. I'm super happy that they went nuts with the Hoenn stuff for whatever reason. I ain't mad at it. Moving along here, the next thing I'm pretty happy about, generally speaking, is how the hyperspace mechanics work. I'm sure that there's better ways to describe what's happening here, but the word that kept coming to mind for me, again, I know it's wrong, is roguelite. You get stuck in this constant loop of going into these little hyperspace pockets, coming out with a bunch of materials so that you could make donuts, and you continuously make better and better donuts so that you could tackle more challenging hyperspace pockets. And throughout your playthrough, you're gonna run into a pretty decent variety of these hyperspace challenges. Much like in base game where you would get the little cards in battle zones so that you could get points faster, Corbeau instead assigns you hyperspace checklists. And completing these little challenges allows for them to continue their research on Hyperspace Lumiose. So you're gonna end up doing a lot of different things. For the catching challenges, sometimes you need to catch 3 different species of Pokemon, sometimes you need to catch them off guard, sometimes you need to beat them and catch them during the window in which they can't do anything. There are times where you need to catch alpha Pokemon. Sometimes there's times where you need to catch a shiny Pokemon. I have yet to run into that challenge, but if you see it, just know there is a shiny Pokemon in there. They wouldn't put that there for no reason. A lot of the time, they're gonna have you pick up little sparkly things off the ground. A lot of the time, it's gonna be a Gimmighoul coin, sometimes it could be something else. And a very good majority of the time, they're gonna have you destroying these floating Pokeballs. Never explained what those are, but when you break them, you get a ton of material, whether it be experience candies or, as the game dubs them, hyper berries, a very specific berry that you're gonna be utilizing to make better donuts. And the better the donut Hoop was able to consume, the better your chances in the pocket. So, like in normal Pokemon fashion, I found myself constantly going back into these pockets trying to get as much material as humanly possible before I felt the need to go back and make more and more better donuts. And even the donut making mechanic is actually really neat when you think about it. Different flavors determines what kind of stat bonuses you get in that run. And the higher the calorie count, the more time you're going to be able to spend in that hyperspace pocket. It's going to make you very cautious on which one you're going to end up using on each pocket. And I like it. I like that a lot. Progressing through the story means that you're going to actually end up running into quite a few rogue mega battles, and this is where it all shines. This kind of blends into my next point, which is essentially the challenge that this DLC offers. I now fully understand why they withheld giving us this content. With the incentive of the shiny charm, they essentially expected us to get through the game and get strong Pokemon ready for this DLC specifically. Because by utilizing these donuts, you can get your Pokemon over level 100, which is something we were not doing in any other Pokemon game before this. Granted, it's a temporary buff, and the strength of the donut determines the strength of your Pokemon going in. So if you have a plus 43 little jelly donut or whatever, you're getting plus 43 levels on all of your Pokemon across the board. But if they're not level 100, they're just going up 43 levels. So let me just say, I am very grateful to Past Me for being an insane madman and grinding out a bunch of level 100 Pokemon, so I had at least a decent variety to choose from to have a chance in this DLC. Cause those Crabominables, man. Oh my god. Why did they put that? Anyhow, rogue mega battles are back, and I could not be happier because that was one of the many things that I felt went underutilized in the base game. Not only did they introduce a ton of new mega evolutions, but they utilized them as proper boss battles for you to progress the story. It almost feels like a full circle moment when you're about to fight an Absol that's about to rogue mega evolve. But it evolves into a completely different mega evolution, being Mega Absol Z. That caught me off guard. Thank God I didn't see the leaks. And it only gets better from there because you continuously fight all of these new mega evolutions that were previously not available. And that was such a fun little treat. And again, they're doing stuff that the regular Mons are not able to do, like Meowstic casually summoning a massive box of pure psychic energy that you cannot get inside of unless you break a certain panel. And some of these guys move fast and hit hard, man. You gotta be real careful. Tatsugiri, maybe I just didn't have the right setup, was whooping my ass. But like, I didn't mind losing that much. I didn't have a bad time getting my ass whooped because I welcomed the challenge. I like that they kind of put my pedal to the metal, put my skills to the test a little bit. And this doesn't just apply to the like traditional rogue mega battles either. In some hyperspace pockets, you can find a Pokemon that's by itself just mega evolved and you need to stop it from rampaging. Those Pokemon hit pretty damn hard. I have had so many Pokemon tucked up by these like little individual challenges, it's not even funny, but yeah, I'm here for it. But usually when you do see those unidentified Mega Stone quests, you're gonna want to go for those because those are the only way for you to get certain Mega Stones, like Mega Golisopodite or Chimecha or whatever. But they don't make it easy on you, so bake those donuts, man, please. And for my last point, I'm generally really happy with the amount of returning Pokemon and all of the new Mega Evolutions. I audibly gasped when I saw that one of the trainers had Mimikyu, and I needed to have it in my party immediately. I still have not found one. I've not seen it pop up in any of these pockets, but I will find my boy. And something like Mega Staraptor getting a Mega Evo had me actually jumping out of my seat. I physically said, no shot in genuine heaven did they give Staraptor a Mega Evolution, and it absolutely blows Mega Pidgeot out of the water. It's not close, 10 out of 10, no notes. And giving that to me back to back with Mega Meowstic like it's nothing? Yeah, oh my goodness. Whoever these Mega designers are, keep them on payroll forever. And while we're jumping around here, extremely happy that I finally got my boy Golisopod back. I have loved this Pokemon from frame one. It was one of my favorite Pokemon to use until it wasn't. I hated its ability, but thank God Legend ZA does not have abilities, which means emergency exit be damned. But overall, I would say that I was generally really happy with the outcome of this DLC. I wasn't expecting too much, which is why I guess it was pretty easy for it to blow my expectations out of the water because it did a pretty good job. It added a lot more content to the base game and made for a true, genuine post game with a lot more to do. On top of the fact that it made Hyperspace Lumiose permanent of all things, yeah, that's good stuff. But of course, it's not without its imperfections. Albeit, if I'm being honest, there's not really that many. But regardless, we're gonna flip the coin. My number one ultimate gripe with this DLC is the fact that the AI sucks. I've already good and well stated in my review that the parkour in this game is ass. Mix that with the fact that we are constantly in a rush hunting down materials in these hyperspace pockets, and it is abysmal sometimes. But on top of that, when the AI refuses to listen to you and go to the proper space it's supposed to get these damn spinning floating Pokeball things, oh my god, it makes me want to chuck my Switch 2 out of a window. But Lord knows I can't afford that. But I have witnessed a good couple of playthroughs of people experiencing the exact same problem as me, where they would command their Pokemon to do something, and in this one specific area, they'll just run to the other side of the map for no reason. Not sure what that glitch is, but it always happens in that area. And God forbid you try to get something a little too high up, sometimes they simply will not do it. It just really sucks because it felt like in base game, I wasn't having that much of a problem with the AI, but here, it's a lot more prominent, and that sucks, man. And I think the worst part about that is that that's something that's probably very easily patchable, and it's never gonna happen because there's no reason for them to ever even look at this game ever again after this DLC. This game is done, wrapped up, tied in a bow, and put under the Christmas tree. That is completely it. Maybe it's a situation in which them putting a lot of obstacles actively worked against them a little bit in these areas, because now all of the Pokemon have a hard time tracking what they're supposed to, and it makes battling and hitting things and tracking things down really awkward sometimes. My next minor issue is that story-wise, Quizartico Inc. was just kind of useless, right? I do understand that the idea here was that they were supposed to take a back seat so that Corbeau and the Rust Syndicate could shine a little bit and have their time in the limelight. But at the same time, for the developers of Lumio City, for like the redevelopment project that they're working so hard to build up, you would think that this situation would concern them a lot more as opposed to them just funding the Rust Syndicate. But I don't know, maybe that's just because Corbeau really had to just take charge and we just ended up meeting with him more than anybody else. Because Vinny was there, he just wasn't doing much. Even Jet showed up for like 5 minutes. She was just like, hey, this is concerning, we should probably deal with this. And then we never saw her again. Why did that's super weird, right? I don't know, maybe that's just like a little nitpicky thing that I found kind of weird with the story. Again, it's not that serious of a story at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, for something that is genuinely endangering a city that you are in charge of, you should be present for what's happening for that. And we didn't exchange a single word with Jet, so that was an interesting decision. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the rest of my concerns here are a little bit more specifically nitpicky. They're not as much like major negatives as they are very minor complaints. For example, the catching missions in the hyperspace pockets fill up my boxes to an unnecessary degree. Cause I'm not gonna sit there, waste a donut, and then just leave at the site of a mission that says that I need to catch multiple Pokemon. I'm still gonna do it, but I don't get anything from catching Pokemon that I've already caught. And there's a good chance that I'm going into a pocket with Pokemon that I already own, which means that I'm just filling up my box with more of that same Pokemon that I need to get rid of later before I max out. Why don't we have defeat 3 different species of Pokemon? Why don't we have defeat this alpha Pokemon instead of having to catch it, or catch 3 of this Pokemon? What? Why can't we change it to that if there's Pokemon present in this space that we haven't caught yet? Because the game can tell when you have a Pokemon in there that you haven't seen or caught yet. So that's really annoying, especially because this is a post-game DLC, meaning that most people, or at least a very good chunk of people, have gotten through a majority of the Pokédex before participating in this, which means everybody's having the same issue. But again, whatever, not the biggest deal in the world. I just mass release if I need to. Fine. But that directly bleeds into my next issue here. This is a post-game DLC, so we're going to be fighting a lot of Pokemon well over level 100, and that's cool, that's dandy, that's fine. But when we catch them, why are they coming out at like level 17? What is that for? Granted, if you're looping correctly, that means you're probably getting a ton of level up resources. So again, it's not the biggest deal in the world to have to level up from level 17 to 100. It takes 5 minutes because you get so many XL candies, it's not even funny. But at the same time, why do I have to waste more resources if I want to level up a Pokemon and put it on my team or fill up my decks? If these Pokemon at level 110 are able to do that kind of damage to my level 120 or level 130 Dragonite, I should be able to catch them and receive them at like level 70 or 65 minimum. We're fighting them and they're that strong, but when we have them ourselves, they're not anywhere near that? That's bull. But again, you could go into a battle zone and get that Pokemon up to like level 50 in like 5 minutes and then use candies. Not the biggest deal, I just think it's very strange that they did that. And my final nitpick is that the thing that you actually use to grind, the golden ball, it gets a little annoying to get after a while. For example, when you're in a hyperspace pocket that requires you to battle trainers, all there is in that pocket is trainers that can seek you out and battle you. The thing is though, is that because of these pockets, you don't get any experience here. Which means when you're done with the survey tasks, unless that NPC has a decent chance of giving you like a hyperspace berry or something, there's no reason for you to go out of your way to battle them anymore. And when I'm trying to hunt for these damn hyperspace Pokeballs, it gets monotonous because they'll track me in spots where I will never see them from and start battling, and I can't do anything about it. I have to fight them and completely waste time. And it's especially annoying because you'll revisit the same general areas in all of these pockets over and over and over again. But the problem is that the golden Pokeball does not spawn in the exact same place back to back. It spawns in different places all over these maps. It could be under a scaffolding. It could be inside one of the buildings. It could be on top of a roof. You'll never know unless you complete all of your tasks and start hunting for it. So trying to get past these aggressive ass, strong ass trainers when you're doing that? No bueno, gang. So yeah, it's worth going out of the way to get those shiny balls if you can, but for the most part, it will get annoying after a little while to have to continuously deal with that. But generally speaking, that just about does it for most of my positives and negatives in regards to this DLC. I think that it's really good. If it's worth the money, that's completely subjective, but I think I got my money's worth out of it, and I'm going to continue getting my money's worth out of it because I have a lot of Pokemon that I still need to get, a lot of Mega Stones that I still need to obtain, and a lot of Mons that I really want to train up. And doing this DLC, doing all the content that they provided me in the post-game is the best way to grind now. Not to mention, the meta probably just changed like crazy online, so I really need to see what that looks like so that I can get the Baxcalibur Mega Stone at some point. So, yeah. No, I think that the DLC is really solid. I think it was a good decision overall to have it so that it was withheld so that it could actually be post-game content so that everybody's finished, strengthened up, and they could tackle this extra little challenge if they so please. But overall, I think that they did a really solid job giving us a hefty amount of content to play with, and eventually I'm gonna go back through this game in like a year or two or something like that to reminisce, and I'm gonna use a completely different team of Pokemon that I didn't get the chance to because there's a lot of Mega Evolutions that I could choose from now, and that's really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to that inevitable day. That day is not today because I'm a little burnt out, but hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. Whew. So that just about does it for this one. The Game Awards happened. I did a live stream on second channel, and I really want to do more general live streams over there of other games, but they would probably have to be like stupid late at night when I'm not doing anything. I'd have to come up with a schedule. I'm losing my office, which I only really utilized and needed for the initial playthrough of Legends EA anyways, but you know, that's fine. It is what it is. But we'll have to play it by ear. Maybe I could get something set up because once Gen 10 comes out, we gotta find a way, gang. We gotta find a way. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that and pass the mic over in your direction and have you guys tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree that overall the DLC is a fine addition to Pokemon Legends EA, makes it feel a little bit more complete, a fun little after game story to participate in with fun interactions with the characters and a bunch of new Mega Evolutions, over 20 plus or something like that, which is crazy, and all of that extra good stuff, that's all good content? Or do you think that this is a waste of time, completely worthless, not even worth a glance, let alone your money, and Pokemon needs to die. Tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, yes, sir, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do exactly so. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone, so thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
I stay funky, doing donuts in a bin. I stay funky, battle goes wherever I am. I stay funky, I don't know who's ready to spit. Just know you're going down with my 58 clips. I stay funky, honey's taking back to the crib. I stay funky, get the club popped off like pins.